there actually isn't discrimination. There really aren't women who are really applying for the jobs, and like there's just not.
Bro, that's true. I'm not gonna say there's not discrimination, because there is a lot of discrimination.
Diversity, you kind of have diversity here, and then I include belonging. I didn't put it in red because it's mostly we talk about DE&I. There's belonging, and then there's another one that people are talking about, which I think is like attachment or something. I don't know. But equity, inclusion, and belonging are kind of here, and then diversity is here.
So if you guys don't know what's going on, this professor is going to be talking about Donald Trump getting rid of DEI policies, and he basically phrased it as, is this the death of DEI? And usually what he does, he asks his students questions, and I'm very interested to see how the students will respond to this, considering they're still in college. Affirmative action was a really big thing in a lot of, especially public colleges. So without further ado, let's not waste no more time. I'm a college student studying engineering, so let's continue.
So I just separated them, all right? So for the moment, we're going to just talk. Do you have any idea, any of you have any idea what Donald Trump has been talking about? What his...
Hasn't he been talking about getting rid of the DEI?
Uh-huh. Do you have a sense of why?
I've heard like he wanted to like get rid of the pressures, I guess, of employers trying to hire more diverse people, like just for the sake of diversity, rather than like actually looking at their merits. That's
how about Evan? How about you? By the way, what's your ethnic background? By the way?
My family is Irish.
Irish? All right. How about you? Like, what's Trump? What do you know that what have you heard from Donald Trump and his administration and so on?
Basically what she said, just that he's doing away with it because on the basis that he thinks that it might involve people based on things that aren't merit.
Okay. So it takes us away from merit. It's costly, right? It's unnecessary. It's unfair because it's not based on merit, right? So it's unfair. Anything else? Is that it? It's kind of it? So, but it's a negative, right? So the idea is like, here you got this administration is coming in and saying like, hey, we've been talking in this country about DE&I for decades now. And we're going to come in and just got, you know what, we just got to get rid of this stuff. This is a bunch of nonsense. So we're going to get rid of it. Okay, so what I want to do today is just have a conversation about what these terms are. By the way, Evan, what do you think I think about DE&I?
I think the professor, before Evan responds, I'm going to give what I think, because I've watched a lot of his videos. I'm basically in the class at this point. I think the professor obviously supports DEI initiatives. Yeah, that's just what I think. I can't even give you a real reason why. I think he sees why colleges use it. He probably thinks DEI initiatives are extremely important and that they make colleges go round and round. That's what I believe the professor believes. What do you guys believe about DEI? I
would say that you probably agree with well, you've separated diversity and then the E and the I. I would assume you like all of them individually.
What? Yeah. Why? Why do you think? What do you think it is about them that I like? What do you think it is about D, E, I, and B? We'll throw the B in there that I like.
I mean, all of those terms are relatively positive terms by themselves. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. It's very complicated, actually. I think I'm like everybody else. I'm like all of you, and I'm like all of you. I'm like all of us. We all have mixed feelings about all of this, and I think our conversation today, we're gonna uncover all the very mixed feelings about all of the mixed thoughts, because it's a mixture of stuff that's positive and negative, and good and bad, and troubling, and so on and so forth. Okay. Well, here, let's go to the next slide. All right, so diversity, right? So think about how I'm defining this, right? Look at the definition, right? What is divisive about the way I've defined this? Look at that definition, right? You can't see that far? All right, dude. They're right there. That's all right. What's divisive about that? What's problematic about that? Is there anything problematic about that? So, Jana, how about you? Like, we'll go right with you. Like, what do you see anything problematic about diversity as I just defined it? And by the way, that's a general sociological definition of diversity. This is what we're talking about. This is systems. So, it's not like I'm not slanting it in some way. This is the most generalized way I could possibly define it. Do you see anything divisive about that or problematic?
I can't find anything, no.
Do you have anything? Mitra, do you have anything?
No.
I mean, let me look at it. It's like, okay, range of people, cultures, nationality. It's generally positive, right? It's like...
I agree with the statement. And I also think that you could even say that they try to avoid criticism by saying generally positive instead of just saying
Well, I wrote
positive.
Generally. So we can take generally
then
away.
yeah.
Okay, well, why don't we take that away even? That a broad range of people, cultures, all of that is, it's positive. A range is positive. It's a good thing. Diversity. It's like, yeah.
The problem with the whole DEI discussion is that I think most people, like, unless you're just a raging racist, supports natural DEI. And what I mean by natural DEI is that if a workplace is naturally diverse, is naturally inclusive, they do not discriminate at all, majority of people will support that. I would hope you don't just want one race or one gender of people in a workplace, but when you start putting quotas and initiatives into place, that's where it gets controversial. That's where people begin to say, hold up, what do you mean you have to hire 20% black people? Or you have to hire 20% of this or that or whatever? That's where the discussion is. Majority of people don't care if it's a diverse workplace. I don't think people care about stuff like that. I would hope not. But when you try to force it into place, yeah, people are going to have a problem about it. And that's why Donald Trump, his decision to overturn quotas and stuff, that's why that decision, a lot of people agree with it. Because they've noticed over the past few years, there's even been Supreme Court cases about this, about colleges showing favoritism to one race or one gender over the other. We've been talking about this for a long, long time. So that's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah, same thing they said, just in a positive connotation.
Okay, so we're starting out here with something that when you talk about getting rid of D, E, and I, and we're starting with D, right? And we're going to get rid of diversity. Automatically you're going to say, like, wait, what? Like, what's the problem with diversity? Right? This is a thought. Like, your thoughts should go. It went there for all of you. It goes there for me. Like, okay, what's the problem with diversity? Well, clearly there is something, right? So I have this question. When is diversity not positive? When's it not positive? And for everybody, think about this. When is diversity not positive? And you think, I'm not trying to trap any of you, right? This is really, the question marks should be going off. No one's ever asked you these questions before, so.
I'll answer that question because I'm a college student too. Diversity is not positive under several things. It's not positive when it's forced. That's when diversity is not positive. And it's not positive when it doesn't even apply to a job. For example, if you are... let's look at the most popular example. A basketball player. Diversity is not positive if you don't score the most points, but you have a diverse team. That's when it's not positive or inherently positive. When your job has nothing to do with it, it's not positive there. It's not positive when it's forced. I'm not saying diversity is negative. I'm not saying it's negative. I'm saying that trying to implement more diverse quotas in diverse work environments is not necessarily positive under these two circumstances. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know if you disagree with me.
Let your mind go. When is diversity not positive?
I think it becomes like sort of a negative thing when it's like people try to force it.
Oh, man. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Because, like, yeah, there's, like, a broad range of people, races, cultures, ethnicities. But when people try to force it, especially, like, in the workplaces or something like that, it's like you're kind of just using diversity just for the sake of it rather than actually practicing it, I guess.
Okay, so go with forcing it. Say more. Like, give me an example of forcing it. Do you have one? Or does anybody have an example of forcing it? Go ahead.
I mean, like, I don't think we have it anymore, but, like, the affirmative action was kind of an example, I guess. When
Okay,
they
well, but you're studying nuclear engineering.
Yeah.
You're going to go out into the workplace as a woman studying nuclear engineering. Yeah. When you start looking for jobs, what would be forcing diversity in the places where you're going to work?
I mean, like, hiring me solely because I'm a woman, I guess.
Well, what do you think about that?
I mean, I would like to be hired just, like, as a nuclear engineer rather than, like, seen as, like, just we're going to take her because she's a brown woman or, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not how they do it, but, like, there's a part that plays in it that, like, we could hire her and, like, meet a diversity quota.
Right, okay, so there's a part that plays in it. Do you know, you have the idea that that's part of it. I mean, you're young, right? So you don't have do you have examples of it, or do you just imagine, okay, that one must play a role somehow?
I mean, I've just heard of it.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay, but, well, listen, you can assume it is, right? How about it's your mom, right? Who didn't get...
Yeah, I actually kind of disagree with what she just said because I think that if certain DEI initiatives weren't forced, no one would have been proactive enough to get them done. So, like, I mean, my mom, like, she's surrounded by all men at her level.
Okay.
And that's how it's been throughout, like, her whole career.
Uh-huh.
And it's recently gotten better, but I don't necessarily think that's because her company, like, turned a new leaf or, like, you know what I mean? I think that sometimes the, like, initiatives or the fact that you want a certain amount of diversity in your work, like, and the fact that it's forced is helpful.
So the first young woman said that diversity can be a wrong thing when it's forced, and she explicitly used affirmative action as a cause of that. This young woman actually has a lot in common with me because I'm also an engineer. I'm an optoelectronics engineer, and she's a nuclear engineer, I believe. So maybe it has something to do with the way we're taught in engineering, the way we think. Not saying it's right or wrong, but that's just how it is. And I agree with her. Here's the problem. If you know there are quotas for a race or for a gender, and you are hired in that situation, not only will other people question if you deserve it, you may question, did I really deserve this position? And the reason why it's a problem with that, because it's something as serious as nuclear engineering or any type of engineering, is that you need to have confidence in your abilities to do the job, because you are making real life dangerous and useful, productive things that you need to know, I can do this. And if there's always that thought in the back of your mind that maybe I'm not qualified for this, maybe what I'm doing is not right, you can genuinely cause real and expensive issues. Back to this discussion. When you have this whole affirmative action and DEI debate, it brings questions upon whether or not you deserve to be in a situation, whether or not I actually work to be in this situation. And I'm not saying this applies to everyone, but it's applying now in society where people are literally questioning whether or not DEI is a positive or negative thing.
But why does it need to be forced? Like, they gonna find, if there are qualified women are gonna...
Oh, no, I'm not saying that to take, like, that out of consideration, but I think that a lot of, like, I think that if you put overqualified woman and an underqualified man next to each other, there are certain people who are going to choose the man because he's a man.
And even if they're not doing it consciously,
Yeah.
they might just do it. Or maybe your mom got paid less, not because someone decided, hey, you know what? Like Sam, man, you and I, we got to figure out what we're going to pay Mitra's mom. We'll just come up. How about we'll just pay her, $90,000 or whatever. Oh, how's that? Is that good? All right. And we don't even think about the fact, whoa, hang on a second. Wait, what are the men get? Wait, that's like 30,000 less than the men at her level. Like no one's really bringing that to our attention, and we're just these two good old boys making a decision, and maybe then it just happens, and no one thinks about it. And so DE&I comes along, and people start saying, hey, you two Sams, you got to think about that stuff, man. That's not cool. That's not equitable. It's not, et cetera. Right? So maybe stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. But at the same time, so hang on. So you're not disagreeing with Sujana. What you're saying is, yeah, but hang on. Here's this other side of it. Like Sujana's saying, like, I don't want to force.
Like, I don't think that qualification shouldn't be taken into consideration at all. Like, if a man is more overqualified than a woman, then there's no reason why you shouldn't hire him and not the woman just because she's a woman.
Uh-huh.
But I think that we've made a lot of headway in the past 60 years when it comes to DEI, and I don't think we would have made that headway if it weren't for the fact that there were a lot of like initiatives and like encouragement and stuff like that.
Okay, Evan, do you have a thought on that? I'm really digging this conversation. Like you're airing it out, right? So this is you. Listen, wait, how old are you? 18? You're 18. So listen, if you're watching the stream, she's 18, all right? She's not an expert on DEI qualifications, work study. I could go get a professor who studies this been studying it for 30 years, come in and have the conversation. Mitra's 18, so this is her thought. So you're getting a chance to hear what these 4 college students are thinking about this. Evan, how about you? Like what do you think about what both of them are saying? Sujana's saying, yeah, well, it becomes a problem. Diversity is not positive when it's forced down our throats. And then Mitra's saying, yeah, but sometimes it's got to be forced down our throats or we don't do anything. Like people will just keep going on and doing what they do, and if you don't.
I would say that when you do, if you have a situation like she gave, where you have somebody who let's say you have equally qualified people and you have the forcing of the situation, whether it was, under whatever circumstances, I think that there's, unless you're creating positions, usually that means you're displacing people as well. So I think if you're going to be removing somebody from a position in order to replace them with somebody who fits those criteria, then that's probably not a good.
That seems like it would be a little bit problematic. Right? Yeah. What if we come along and someone comes along and says, hey, listen, man, as in Mitra's mom's case, listen, you got this company here, you got this industry. Why do you have all these men in these top positions? Like, are there not women out here who are qualified to be in these positions? Like, come on, man. Like, what's going on? Can you guys look at this? Can you take a look at it? Can you have a conversation? Like, can we, do... That's all. What about that?
Yeah, of course. I think that there's exceptions to every rule. Nothing's really black and white.
Okay. So when is what I just said? What I just said is very reasonable, right? We're going to this company. We're going like, hey, y'all, come on, men. Let's have a come to Jesus conversation right here. And they might say, oh, but we're not really Christians. We'll be like, that's all right. We'll talk to Jesus anyway, right? You know what a come to Jesus conversation is? You got that? All right, man. That means we're going to have a serious conversation right now. We're going to put it all on the table. All right. So let's have a conversation. So that's not a problem. Basically, anybody would agree on that, right? And then you might discover that, hey, you know what? There actually isn't discrimination. There really aren't women who are really applying for the jobs, and there's just not. And your mom,
bro, that's true. I'm not gonna say there's not discrimination because there is a lot of discrimination. But even when you look at my field, like engineering, there aren't a lot of women in the field at all. I think that's that's just the truth of the matter. You look at engineering, there's not a lot of black people in the field of engineering. So, and I know my field may be an anomaly. I don't know if it's an anomaly. Y'all will let me know in the comments. Y'all always let me know when I'm wrong. Always. Literally always. But when I hear this discussion, like, oh, DEI, we need the actions, we need the affirmative action, all this. I look at engineering, I'm like, we don't apply at that much. For example, it will be people who come to my school, and I'm telling y'all the truth. This is something that a lot of people don't know. But companies do put out initiatives for black people to be in roles, underrepresented roles, such as engineering. They will come to our school and they will be like, y'all, please apply to this job. They will be begging us to apply. And mind you, engineering internships pay a lot of money. I'm talking about $6,000-7,000 a month for an intern. And they'll be like, please apply to this job. We need y'all to apply. And they say their biggest problem was that black people don't apply to the jobs. We don't apply to the internships. So when I look at the DEI, and I know my field may be an anomaly. It may be an anomaly. I'm like, are we even going after these roles? I don't think we are. Just in my experience, I haven't seen us really chasing these roles. So when they're setting money apart for us, I'm like, it just confuses me a little bit.
Mom would then say, oh, fuck, all right, there we go. So we've had this conversation. We're open about it. It's good. It's all good. Like, yeah, all right, I'll move on with my life. I'll seem that I'm special. And here I am. It's all good. That sounds reasonable. Sam, does that sound reasonable as a man?
I didn't hear what you said.
What's that?
I didn't hear what you said.
No, the idea that that you're just going to have a conversation, say in a company like that, where you're going to say, wait, we're going to have this open conversation about why there's so many men, and then we're going to figure out what it is, and we might find out, well, really, there's women really aren't not wanting to be in these positions, and so whatever.
Yeah, I guess, but like coming back to her point, because like I agree with what she said, with the force, like kind of quote force DEI, because I look at it kind of like a pendulum, and I think if you look at America like 100 years ago compared to where it is today, there's almost like no diversity. And so I think it went from like an extreme left to maybe to some people an extreme other direction. But for me, I'm like a big fan of the like forced quote unquote DEI, because I think making that progression is like necessary to kind of come back to like a balance in the middle.
Yeah, okay. So the pendulum had to swing all the way here.
To
all this DEI stuff, so it can then swing back to the middle.
And like balance,
Yeah, okay, so that's where you want the balance.
I mean,
Because what's it mean if we force it way over here in your direction? What does that mean for diversity?
I mean, I think if it's all the way to an extremity, it can be harmful to some parties, I guess.
Well, how would it be harmful to you as a black man? Like, you enter into a company that's like, 100%, it's just like this D&I, man. You get hired, you're a DE&I hire. And it's clear to everybody that Sam right here, forget about how qualified he is, how smart he is, how handsome he is, whatever the F it is, doesn't really matter. He's a DE&I hire. How is that harmful to you?
I mean, I really have like, because I've gone to, when I was like little, I was like in a Catholic school in Philly.
I'm going to tell you exactly how it can harm you as a black man entering into corporate America or any work environment. It can harm you because people will begin to question your intellect and begin to question your character if you enter into a DEI role. I'm not saying that will happen all the time, but if a corporation and a group of persons know that a role or a said company heavily emphasizes DEI initiatives and quotas and all these type of things, when they see someone who they believe would benefit from these quotas, they will subconsciously believe that they do not deserve the role. And I'm not saying this based off of my opinion. I'm saying this because this has happened where people are online saying, oh, you're a DEI hire. You're a DEI hire. You don't deserve that. Let me ask you a question. I'm not saying I agree with those people at all, because I think that is an insult. But if DEI never existed, how could someone be a DEI hire? Do you guys understand? The whole insult about a DEI hire only exists because DEI exists. If you get rid of DEI, say we're not doing it anymore. You have to fight for your position. I don't care what you look like. You're all gonna have to fight. The insult of a DEI hire will no longer exist. It will be gone. Poof. It will not exist. That's how it can harm you. It can harm you moving up into a workforce because people may not take you seriously. It can just harm your progression as a young businessman or as a young person entering the corporate or working world. That's my opinion. That's not a fact, but let's continue.
And I was like pretty much the only black kid. And I don't like being the kind of quote unquote token or like the picture, the guy that's in every picture. So that's the only way I could look at it, as like where I would be uncomfortable.
What's another way you could look at it? You're a DE&I hire. How is that problematic for you? Regardless of how qualified you are, how is it problematic for you to be a DE&I hire? You got the job. You're in it. You're doing it. But what? But now what? How is that a problem? We're just scoping out how is it a problem? He's a DE&I hire, man.
He could be underqualified.
Dude, no one knows if you're qualified. All we know is that Sam, dude, that Sam guy, like he's, we needed to hire a black dude.
They're hating, bro.
What's that?
I said they're hating.
They're hating on you, but why wouldn't they? Because why wouldn't you if you find out hey, listen, man, Sam, there's a couple students in class. It turns out that the students in class that got the highest grade in class, just happened to be connected to Sam. They're his neighbors or whatever. He's like, wait, hang on. How do we know that they didn't get the high grade in class because they're his neighbors? How do we know that this guy, Sam, is qualified just because here he is? I don't know that. I'm always going to look at you with suspicion. You would look at you with suspicion. You're going to look in a mirror and you're going to be going hey, Sam, is this it? Things are going to get tough. And you're going to, does this work?
That's a fair question. He basically brought up a different concept, and it's kind of related to nepotism, or not necessarily nepotism. Yeah, kind of nepotism, where you're hiring someone based off of who you know, and they're getting their merit or they're getting success based off of their connection to you. So I actually agree with him. I say remove it all. I say remove it all. Take it all away. Take it all away. Take it all away. Remove it all. Let everyone fight for themselves. Let everyone go into everything by themselves. That's what I say. But I don't control the country. I don't have my own private corporation to say that. But that's just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below about this class, about my dialogue. My name is Elifar JoJo, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.